Broadcasting live from the 180 Pros studios. 180 Pros, your business's IT partner. We're starting you off at 57 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Brian here with you, JP producing. We're starting you off with a full slate this morning. Attorney Franz Borghardt is going to be by a little bit later on this hour for some legally served. Franz actually just got back from France, so we might talk about the Louvre heist a little bit right there. I got a couple of other stories we're going to touch on, but that is definitely on the rundown, as it were. Also on the rundown, let's talk about Loyola University not wanting a turning point. The state Republican Party sending them a strongly worded letter. The Derek Babcock from the LA GOP going to hop on board at 7:15. State Representative Jack McFarland going to be coming by this morning. How do you keep SNAP funding afloat while the federal government is shut down? That will be the topic of that conversation. I will visit with Jourdan Generes from NeuroJust in the 8 o'clock hour, as well as Congresswoman Julia Letlow, little DC Current presented by LABI. That's all to come later on the show. Right now, we start off with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Employees that work in the Supplemental Nutrition and Assistance Program were given an official notice that they might be furloughed if the federal government shutdown continues. This coming originally from WWNO. A letter published by the radio station says that employees may be furloughed and not receive pay from November 3rd through December 2nd if the quote-unquote Schumer shutdown continues.
Number 4.
Crews broke ground on the Groom Road Corridor Improvement Project in Baker yesterday morning. Officials said the project will create dedicated turn lanes and 8-foot wide shared use paths along the road, as well as several drainage improvements are in line there as well.
Number 3.
Hurricane Melissa is about as strong as a hurricane can be. Bearing down on Jamaica yesterday, Cuba today. Maximum sustained winds are starting to taper off here. Yesterday was up to 185 mile per hour winds. Today, all the way down to 115. Once Melissa is clear of Cuba, will continue out in the Atlantic. Will not be a problem for mainland America. Bermuda will get hit along the way. Should remain at hurricane status through probably Friday before it knocks back to a tropical storm.
Number 2.
Yesterday, the Livingston Parish government hosted its first open house meeting for residents to give input on the drainage master plan and voice their concerns. As residents took the brunt of the 2016 floods, they're looking for more than just talk from elected officials this time around.
Number 1.
Rhesus monkeys from Tulane University escaped from a truck following a crash on I-59, according to the Jasper County Sheriff's Office. Deputies said the wreck happened near mile marker 117. Officials said all but one of the escaped monkeys, quote, had been destroyed. However, deputies later said that following an account from Tulane officials, 3 monkeys remain unaccounted for. Boy, it's like 1998 all over again, JP.
Man, this is
the monkeys get out, dude.
It's exactly how Planet of the Apes starts.
It's a bad so the Tulane monkeys are in Covington. Okay?
Yeah.
So it used to be the Delta Primate Center, and then it became the Tulane Research Center. It's right across the street from North Lake Christian School. And it was not too long after that movie Outbreak came out. There was a number of escaped monkeys, and Covington was basically gripped with fear for felt like weeks on end. It felt like forever. It might have been like 3 days, but it felt like forever.
That's one way to promo a movie, huh?
Yeah. Going viral before it was a thing.
Yeah. Ooh, well, in other trending news, at least 7 Palestinians were killed as the Israeli army launched a barrage of attacks in Gaza on Tuesday as tensions with Hamas grew 2 weeks into a fragile ceasefire.
Yeah, not much of a ceasefire if no one ceases firing. That's look, I said it when the ceasefire was signed. Let's see if it sticks.
Yep.
We're supposed to go to Jerusalem in January.
Oh, there you go.
Not so much.
Probably not.
Not so much.
Yeah. In other news, trade deals with South Korea are today. Xi Jinping tomorrow, and that is roughly the schedule for the president as his Asian tour continues.
So coming off the $500 billion deal with Japan, it looks like a $350 billion deal with South Korea. Might be a little harder to get across the finish line. He's already got $500 billion on the books. So.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And keeping it with Trump, Speaker Mike Johnson says he doesn't see a path for President Trump to seek a third term, claiming Trump enjoys, quote, trolling the Democrats.
That's the part I don't understand. Like, they bite every single time. Every time.
He knows he has them. Every
Right.
time.
And it's this constant barrage on social media of he's a lying liar, everything he says is a lie, and then they turn around and say, when he tells you who he is, believe him. And it's like,
Right.
no, it's got to be one or the other.
The inconsistencies.
Yeah,
man.
it's like he can't both be a buffoon and a mastermind. You've got to be one or the other.
Right.
We're at 6:11. Coming up to 6:11 to talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Frank Wilson spoke with the media as the interim head coach for the first time yesterday. We'll have some audio from that after our first break. Before we get to that break, though, got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European, VEX. VexEuropean.com is the website. This is Vinny and his crew. They specialize in the maintenance and repair of European vehicles. And specialization is the key here. If you drive a Mercedes, you get paired with a Mercedes tech. And that tech will follow you. Master level technician, by the way, will follow your vehicle, get to know your vehicle the same way your chart follows you at the doctor's office. This is all about making sure that you get the most out of your European vehicle. Wait times are minimal, to say the least. Although I will say this, though. When I go over there, post up in the waiting room, jump on the free Wi-Fi, pour a cup of coffee, maybe grab a little snack. They got it's very comfortable, to say the least. And then before you know it, they pop in and say, you're ready to roll. If you drive a BMW, you get a BMW tech. If you drive an exotic vehicle, they've got you there as well. Check them out online at VexEuropean.com. Read some of the reviews while you're there. Vinny prides himself on the relationships he builds with his customers. They are long-term relationships, and that is what he does as well as anybody around. It's Vex European. Jaguar Journal came in and recorded last night, and everything was moved around. Everything was like, chairs were like bunched up behind the light over here. The microphones are all pushed over except for the one. Like, there were books that were out, like, just really. Yeah. Okay. From yesterday? All right. Do I? Really? All right. Rolling over to 6:15 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Where do we go from here, man? LSU football interim coach Frank Wilson met with the media yesterday, as he is the interim head coach at this point. Frank Wilson talked about during his first news conference. He talked about, well, among other things, being excited for the upcoming challenge.
Extremely humbled, extremely honored to be given this opportunity. It's something that you would dream of, something that you don't know if it would ever come true, but something you prepare yourself for.
Wilson says he's going to work to lead LSU to a strong finish to this season.
This moment, this opportunity is so much bigger than me. I just happen to be the caretaker at this moment for this wonderful institution that we so love.
Going to be interesting. So a lot of people are asking, can Frank Wilson land the head coaching job permanently? I don't think that's going to be the route they go, but I wouldn't rule it out either, because the playoff format with a 12-team playoff, LSU could back their way into this. I know it feels like the season's over with 3 losses, but if you go out and beat Alabama next week, obviously take care of Arkansas and Western Kentucky, and then in the season finale, you take on Oklahoma, who could well be a top 10 team themselves by that point, and take care of business there. Now you'd have 2 top 10 wins under your belt and headed into the playoffs strong. You make the playoffs, it'd be hard-pressed to find, to tell Frank Wilson, look, we appreciate the efforts. You've shown nothing but success. Now hit the bricks. Not the easiest thing in the world to do right there. But Wilson's not thinking that far ahead. He says when he was asked to serve as head coach for the remainder of the season, basically he just jumped at the opportunity.
You answer the bell. When Mother University calls for you, you answer, you pull up your bootstraps, and you do what's required and asked of you to represent our university extremely well.
So it'll be a bye week this week, and then night game in Tuscaloosa next week, taking on Alabama. So his first challenge right out the blocks is going to be a difficult one, to say the least. Meanwhile, over to the NFL, Tyler Shuck's officially the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. That was announced yesterday, I believe. Spencer Rattler going to hit the bench for a little bit, and Shuck's going to take things over heading into Los Angeles, 3:05 kickoff on Sunday. This is, y'all, if y'all remember back to preseason, the Saints ran some practices out there in L.A. against the Rams. It wasn't good, and I don't see a pattern, a path for it to be better this time around. Saints are 1-7 right now, but it's the right call. You got to give Shuck a good look to see if you need a quarterback going into the next season as you start on a rebuilding year, or you're in the process of a rebuilding year. Rams are 5-2 overall. Hey, before we get to Sunday, though, there will be Thursday. This Thursday, right here on Talk 107.3 FM, LSU women's basketball is back at it for another exhibition game before the regular season starts. Kim Mulkey's Tigers, you can get a preview of them, of the 25-26 team, as they'll take on Langston University in an exhibition game. Coverage begins with pregame at 6:30, tip-off at 7 p.m. Of course, your home for LSU women's basketball is right here on Talk 107.3 FM. The Lady Tigers played Mississippi College last Thursday in an exhibition game. It was a nail biter. 148-46 is the final score there. How about it? By the way, the regular season for LSU women won't tip off until the following week. Tuesday, November 4th, be taking on Houston Christian, and then Thursday, November 6th, taking on Southeastern. Both of those games will be in the Marriage Assembly Center. Both of those games will be right here on Talk 107.3 FM, and both of them tip off at 7 p.m. So, we're coming up on 6:20 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Oh, one more quick sports note while we're talking about programming, we're talking about sports. Don't forget, Talk 107.3 is your new home for Ken Trahan's original prep football report. Get live in-game updates, a full statewide scoreboard, and check-ins with correspondents from every corner of the state. Friday nights this fall from 6 to 11 p.m. It's Ken Trahan's original presented locally by Dr. Pepper and the Harold Perkins Jr. Tuition Program right here on Talk 107.3 FM. All right, let's go ahead and check the Fox Business Report. We'll check traffic. When we come back, Attorney Franz Borghardt in. We've got Legally Served. That's coming up next. Okay. Oh,
Don't spoil it.
okay. Did I spoil anything?
No.
Okay.
I like this weather. I left Paris, and this was the weather. I come home, and this is the weather.
It's good stuff, man.
You know, speaking of good stuff, you know what the highlights of my trip was?
What's that?
We had a 2-hour layover in Philadelphia. You ever been to Philadelphia?
No.
I had a Philadelphia cheesesteak sandwich in the Philadelphia airport, which I know is kind of like going to China and eating Panda Express, right? It's not quite the same thing, right? But I had a Philly cheesesteak sandwich, and it was a game changer. It had like a dinky little like airport whatever, and then I started thinking, do we have good Philly cheese sandwiches here in Baton Rouge? Can you get a good Philly cheesesteak sandwiches in Baton Rouge?
Yeah. I wonder if it's still open.
There's a place on Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Like I never even thought about it. Was never on my radar.
Philly Me Up on Jefferson Highway.
Yeah,
I used to go there a lot. They're really good.
And I have never asked Rocco, like, hey dude, do you have like a
There's another one. Charlie's Cheesesteaks. I haven't been there yet, but I've heard they're good. And I don't think Rocco has a cheesesteak. He might.
You know, we actually drove up to where they broke in.
Yeah?
It's not as nearly as secure as you might think.
That surprises me.
Well, I mean, the facility is massive.
I'm sorry. This is me here. All right, here's what we're looking at this morning. We're actually pretty clean on the interstates right now. You do have some congestion on I-10 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. If you're making your way in, you see it. It's not enough to make you want to change your route, but you do have some friends up there on the interstate with you. I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish looks good, as does I-110. Surface streets, be on the lookout for an accident about 20 minutes ago. Nicholson at Oklahoma. That's not too far away from here. Nicholson at Oklahoma as a crash. It's been moved off the roadway, but it's still being worked by law enforcement. Also, North 36th at Zion Street. This is from about 45 minutes ago. That is got just blockage in the roadway. It doesn't say what the blockage is, if it's a stalled vehicle or whatever. It just says blockage. North 36th at Zion. Those are your only two incidents on the surface streets. That is your look at traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. .624 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hey, the Louisiana Business Weekly podcast is your source for the latest in Louisiana's business landscape. I'm the host, but I'm definitely not the start of the show here, and it is proudly presented by Currency Bank. It's a weekly show. It dives into some trends, some individual stories of success, stories of failure, a lot of the why that goes into business out there, and the voices that shape the state's economy. Listen and subscribe on all your favorite platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. You can catch every episode at talk1073.com as well. All right. You know how we do on a Wednesday. It's time for Legally Served. Rocco. What you say, Franz?
Good morning, people. You know, a lesser man wouldn't travel for 24 hours straight and be here at 6:25 in the morning for Legally Served. A lesser man wouldn't do that. But I flew back from France.
To be fair, you didn't fly back for this. You were flying back anyway.
I was working on this on an international flight yesterday.
I
texted you, Brian Haldane, on an international flight. And as I enjoy my McDonald's McCafe,
yeah,
you know, it's the subtle differences. You know what they call a McCafe in France?
What do they call a McCafe?
A love McCafe.
A Le Cafe?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do they call a quarter pounder with cheese? Did you get a quarter pounder with cheese? You kind of have to, right?
Royale with cheese. It's the metric system.
No, but is it legit? I've never been to France.
Let me tell you, there is enough. So in the major tourist areas, we went all throughout France, and in Paris, there's enough tourist restaurants that serve double smash burgers. That's their thing there, and pizza. And and burgers, they're not afraid of a burger. Now, did I go to a McDonald's?
Right.
No, I did not go to a McDonald's in France. I did not. I missed out. I waited until I got home. But I'm back.
Man.
Hey, can we talk about the Louvre?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. So, big jewel heist.
Right.
Big jewel heist. You said you got to drive right past
So you're thinking Ocean's 12, right?
Very, very much so.
You're thinking like Brad Pitt, Clooney, Ocean's 12.
Mm-hmm.
I drove up. Well, the bus drove up to where the thieves broke in, and it was the most unsophisticated break-in you've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. It was like a balcony on what would be the second floor of a building.
Yeah.
And they brought a ladder up. And
a basket.
Or a basket.
Yeah.
And they parked right next to it because there was plenty of room to do that. And by the way, not hating on my French brothers and sisters, but there's a general consensus, like in Paris, of I'm just going to ignore what you're doing.
Okay.
It's kind of like New York City
on
the subway. You do you, I do me. And so they just backed it on right up, and then they went on up into it. And you know how they caught him? Like they caught him trying to get out of the country with it.
But there was like DNA. They were able to pair because there was DNA on a hard hat or something like that, or a glove.
It was something. It was an unsophisticated. It was like not Ocean's 11.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit in that. I realize not as sophisticated as it may have first sounded, because how do you get in the Louvre and past the security and all that other good stuff?
Well, you got to imagine the Louvre is about the size of LSU's campus.
Yeah,
it's enormous. Have you been?
No, but I would equate it to the Smithsonian.
It's ridiculously big.
Okay,
and this area in question is a window balcony next to the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a walk path around the entire Louvre. But like even when you're driving past it, you can see like marble statues in the windows. Like picture the marble statues you would imagine that would be in the Louvre. You could see them from the bus on the street. So whole thing was just By the way, the crown jewels that they took,
Napoleon's crown jewels.
So they also, the media downplayed or inaccurately valued them. They are worth exceedingly more than what
I thought so.
Like what you read and what they're really worth.
Yeah, like
meanwhile,
they were worth about 10 times more than.
They've kind of turned the Eiffel Tower into like a Disney attraction at night.
Okay.
There's like little sparkly lights and everything. It's
Okay. I want to break down a little bit of like the legal perspective of this, because like you said, it was a very low rent thing to do. Low rent operation. But let's talk about when something very, very public happens, how this gets broken down. So we will do that when we come back in just a little bit. Before we take our break, though, we're breaking for news, traffic, weather. Before we do that, do need to remind you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. If you are making your last-minute plans, if you're a little bit more excited about Frank Wilson than you were Brian Kelly, and you wanted to follow the Tigers to Tuscaloosa, well, there's a direct flight into Birmingham via the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. And by the way, coming up at the end of the season, direct flight into Oklahoma City to follow the Tigers against the Sooners as well. Make your reservations at flybtr.com. Quick break for news, traffic, weather. We'll continue next.
Going back to our Philly conversation, Philadelphia has given us such great things like a Philly cheesesteak, the Declaration of Independence, Rocky, 1 through 5. What else? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was West Philadelphia, right? Mm-hmm. That's still Philly. Just trying to think of all the great things that Philadelphia has yielded. Declaration of Independence has to be on there, right?
Well, Liberty Bell's up there, too.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes. I mean, you know who I'd love to have hung out with, speaking of France and Philadelphia? Benjamin Franklin. I bet you he would have been great to hang out with. There is a giant George Washington statue in Paris.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Beautiful. So it was a gift to the daughters of Paris. Apparently, George Washington.
Okay. Have you read anything about this NBA?
I know about as much about the NBA gambling thing as I do about the Otani gambling thing.
Okay. So no.
Which we can talk about both.
Well,
one's not as fresh as the other, but we kind of turn a blind eye to what's okay gambling-wise and what's not.
Well,
Ask Pete Rose.
This is about a card game and a whole lot of intricate equipment that lets you see through cards. And
for the NBA.
But, yeah, there were 2 NBA players implicated. But, yeah.
Where were they playing?
They weren't playing.
They were hosting?
No. They were – oh, you mean where were they playing cards? It was a mobbed-up game, so I don't know. Oh, here we go. Got the latest from the USA Today.
So, I don't know a lot about sports, but on the international flight back, I was reading a lot about the coaching situation at LSU and how there are a lot of commentators who were like, who would want to coach at LSU? And I'm like, who wouldn't want to coach at LSU? If you don't perform, you're going to end up with this huge payout, which is essentially, it could be retirement.
Yes.
I mean,
until your ex-wife takes half of it, then you got to go back to work again.
Well, even that's negotiable. You could negotiate, hey, you owe me $50 million. I'll tell you what. Give me $10 million and let me go coach somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah. Just do that.
Okay.
That's what you just said.
Yeah.
I was just repeating it in a way that I understood
That's what the deal is. That it's $54 million, so it's $800,000 a month till 2031.
Imagine what you and I could do with $800,000 in 1 month.
But here's the thing, is if he gets another job, he doesn't lose all of it. He only loses what he loses. Like
right.
If he gets another job, pays $2 million a year, you subtract that from the total.
Great contract. Oh. You know how much stupid stuff I would do with $800,000 a month? There'd be some dumb purchases. Is Franz driving around in a DeLorean? And he gets that $800,000 a month.
Yep.
Is that a monocle? Is Franz wearing a monocle now? Is that a Scrooge McDuck hat?
Oh.
Oh, Court TV. Renee writes, I could budget that kind of money. Renee, I could budget $800,000 a month. I'd have to go to rehab. There'd be some rehab in there somewhere. Franz is at Big Sur Rehab right now.
Six 636 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt, rolling right along as well. Talk a little bit about the Louvre heist, and I do want to get into kind of a legal aspect of this, Franz. The story from, well, I guess I'm grabbing this one from ABC News. As a manhunt continued on Monday for suspects in the Louvre Museum jewel heist, the Paris prosecutor said she fears the investigation might be harmed by the hasty disclosure over the weekend of the arrests of two other robbery suspects. So they picked up two arrests. One guy was trying to fly to Charles de Gaulle. I think the other one had already made it out, right? But they caught the other one when he landed.
Like if I steal a whole bunch of jewelry, crown jewels.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I'm on a bus with like 25, 27 other pilgrims. They are all looking at me in the back of the bus like, hey, Franz, if you were a thief, how would you commit this crime? And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Right. Why are we doing this?
Why do I have to be the thief?
Right.
First thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't get into an airport with my crown jewels in my check-in bag or carry-on bag.
Mm-hmm.
You can pretty much exit France without much difficulty by vehicle.
Mm-hmm. But, like, you're going to have to get on a plane at some point.
You do have to get on a plane at some point, but there are thresholds of security. Charles de Gaulle is much more secure than, say, a plane in Toulouse.
Okay.
Or in a smaller European country. By the way, some of these countries, you hop a plane from Spain to France, and like you don't go through customs when you get there. It's just like. So my point is, maybe you could ship the crown jewels somewhere.
Just like throw them in the mail
FedEx
there.
Them,
Yeah.
FedEx them.
You going to do that with something that valuable?
I mean, are you going to hop on a plane at Charles?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, this was not mastermind thievery, by the way.
No.
Like, candidly, as much as you want to light these guys up like a Christmas tree and make an example out of them, which I know we're going to talk about, like, at some point you got to look at the security of the Louvre and be like, come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Well, is that part of the defense there? I mean, to say.
Like you made it so easy.
Right.
Like, it's like these jewels practically stole themselves.
Mm-hmm. Paris prosecutor Laura Babcock said the information made public about the arrest in the Louvre should have never been disclosed. Quote, I deeply regret the hasty disclosure of this information by informed individuals without consideration of the investigation, she said in a statement that was put out Sunday night, because they're still looking for more people.
You mean media jumped and reported a whole bunch of stuff before the investigation was done? That never happens. Hashtag United States.
But the media's supposed to do that.
Well, right. I don't fault a reporter from doing what a reporter does.
Right. The revelation can only harm the investigative efforts of 100 or so investigators searching for the stolen jewelry and perpetrators that are still at large.
But didn't they get them back?
The jewels?
Yeah.
I have no idea. This was this week, so it was day before yesterday. Under French law, the suspects in custody can be held for 96 hours before prosecutors have to charge or release them. I want to talk about a couple different things from a legal perspective. First of all, is there a cap amount that, like, changes the game when it comes to prosecuting something like this? Like, if they'd stolen $1 million worth of jewels, is it different than stealing $1 billion worth of jewels?
So generally, and I'm generalizing here. Generally, domestic laws, and I would imagine international laws, they're all about the value, and they bracket value. So, like anything between these two values is this kind of a penalty. Anything with these, and in federal, that in fact is the case. Now, you know, when you start breaking into the Louvre is a government building, right? I mean, that's a government.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so. I mean, then the other question becomes: if you steal from the government, does that create different kind of things? So I would say that the difference between millions and billions, there probably is a distinction, but you're in bonus round. When you talk about the crown jewels and Napoleon, you're probably already in bonus round.
Right.
So I mean, you know.
So there's something else that is a part of this, or at least I think it is, and that is the two people they've apprehended. Their names haven't been made public yet, but they are French nationals. They're from a suburb of Paris. And
So French.
I know. But, like, if I kind of want to walk down the hypothetical path of if they weren't. When this gets international, how messy does it get? Like, if these were Americans who had gone over there, if it was Daniel Ocean and Rusty and Basher and Frank Catton.
You just naming them all.
Yeah, and Livingston Dell. Like, if it was Ocean's 11, if it was a bunch of Americans that had gone over there, then how would that change this game as well?
Well, it's again the law of different sovereignties. So you have Parisian laws, French laws as a country, and then there may be some kind of international laws. But again, I would imagine that the biggest teeth are going to be the French laws, and it's a French crime on French soil. France is the victim. So now in the Ocean's 12 movie, which by the way was the weakest of all the Ocean movies.
You thought 12 was weaker than 13?
I loved 13.
I
give
love
me
all three of them.
Give me
I
Al
don't think there's a
Pacino.
weak one. I don't think there's a weak
I said weaker. I didn't say bad. I mean, I watched it. I mean, but I would say that wasn't there an international, like, Interpol kind of thing going on?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah. So
They steal the Fabergé egg.
Yeah. Now it's France. I'm not hating on our French brothers and sisters. It's France. So France does things as France does things. But I would imagine that whether they're nationals or not nationals, you're still looking at the same French laws. And I'm willing to bet when it comes to antiquities, it's a phrase or a term I seldom get to use.
Okay.
Antiquities. In a country like that, like the Louvre, I imagine there might even be laws that specifically address you trying to steal antiquities, which may have a heightened penalty. Look, these guys are going to jail. If you can convict them, they're going to go to jail. I mean, they allegedly stole the jewels. The jewels got stolen. These guys allegedly stole the jewels.
The two of the thieves dressed as construction workers used a cherry picker to get up on the second floor, where they cut through the window of the Apollo Gallery using angle grinders, authorities said. Upon entering the gilded gallery, well, that's alliteration, the thieves used power tools to cut into the glass cases to reach the precious jewels. The entire theft took about 7 minutes, according to investigators.
People watching probably thought these were just construction guys,
right,
doing repair.
Well,
that's all
that
over France.
That would have been my. If I were there, I'm not hating on the French, because if I were there, that's what I would have thought too. Because who has the audacity,
plain sight,
to, like, kind of Hudson Hawk the Louvre in the middle of the day?
Plain sight,
right?
Man,
so
you're just on it today with these movie references. Hudson Hawk.
Yeah.
Would you like to swing on a star?
Yeah.
How long was that song, by the way?
3 minutes, 17 seconds.
Yeah, something that was very specific.
Yeah. That's for those that have never seen Hudson Hawk. That's a pivotal part of the movie. They're Bruce Willis and Danny
Thoughts and prayers
Aiello.
to Bruce Willis.
The Bruce Willis and Danny Aiello play cat burglars, and they time out their burglaries to the length of a song. And swinging on a star was
so
one.
I guess in our heart of hearts, we want to believe that international thievery is like Ocean's 12 or like the Italian Job.
Right.
But in truth, it's a snatch and grab.
I don't know, man. This until they got caught was proving to be pretty sly. This was proving to be like they got it done.
You've got to be
everyone
prepared
around
to sit.
thought
You got to be prepared to sit on those crown jewels for long enough for the dust to kind of settle.
Unless you've got a fence on the front end.
So a fence, for those who don't know, for those who are new to the crime game, a fence is the individual that takes the stolen items
Right.
and sells the stolen items on a national or international market.
Right.
Takes a small percentage of it. So the fence is, in many respects, the fence is very important. And when you start selling things like crown jewels or Incan matrimonial masks, that's Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
It becomes complicated.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
You
You don't have to deal with a fence when you deal with cash.
Right. So back
Just
to it here.
off rails.
No, back to it. When it comes to prosecuting something like this in France, how different is an international court versus our court system?
If you think it's going to get me in trouble, if you think our court systems are a little wonky sometimes, depending on which country you're in, it kangaroo court. I mean, like, I can't think of the name of the docuseries, the docudrama with Italy and the woman that was wrongfully convicted of a murder. But it's on Hulu, and like it is insane. Like some of the systems, like when we say we have one of the best systems for justice in the world, and people get kind of like, oh, you're just American, you're just saying that, or they say, yeah, our system sucks on some levels. No, we have one of the best systems. Like, I have to imagine these will be cut deals, though. I mean, if they, I have to imagine there'll be some kind of negotiated plea on these.
One would think.
Or
Because,
hey, tell us who else was involved. Snitch. What is the French word for snitch?
I don't know.
It's okay.
I tell you what. Let's break real quick. So you're here until 7 today, right?
I'm here until 7.
All right, awesome. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we'll put a button on this, and we got a couple of other topics to cover as well. Right now, though, we're gonna meet up with traffic. We will meet up with Your Money Now. We will continue next right here on Talk 107.3 FM.
At one point on the trip, somebody was talking about muling. And there was a sweet old lady on the bus who didn't know what muling was. And just like I was like, Miss Delphine, a mule in the criminal justice system is the person that takes the illicit materials from point A to point B.
Right.
They can do that any sorts of ways.
My whole thing, I would have tried to get them out. These jewels would have been up my ass. I mean,
He'd be damned. Nice,
Don't
Christopher
care.
Walken.
don't care if I die of dysentery.
Well, so my thing is, it's a country that has coasts.
As what?
Like, has coasts. Like, why not get on a boat somewhere and just kind of, or like a Viking cruise down the river? I mean, it's, I did get randomly swabbed in the Paris airport for explosive devices.
Interesting.
Like they pulled me on a line. They were swabbing my hands and everything. And I looked at the guy and I said, now that you've cleared me, do you mind if I ask you, like, what are you swabbing me for? And he, very French. He's like, I cannot tell you. And I'm like, okay. He looked at me and goes, explosives. And I was like, oh, huh. We haven't made a Pink Panther reference.
I know. I think it's a little bit dated, though.
Well, there was a remake with Steve Martin, right?
Nobody saw it.
Amanda Knox. If you watch that one, yeah, Amanda Knox is like the Italian judicial system is like. Of course he will.
Okay, so you did not read up on the NBA thing.
I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep right now. But we can talk about it. I'm quick on my feet.
Oh, the Breck one that I said. Well, I don't want to do the Breck one because Breck is sponsored. Tell you what, let's completely pivot. Monday, there's a new documentary about Derek Todd Lee coming out. A new podcast about Derek Todd Lee coming out.
A podcast?
Uh-huh.
Like an entire series of podcasts? Or is
I
it
have
like,
no idea.
like, is the podcast devoted to nothing but Derek Todd Lee, or is it like an episode?
It's a podcast, a true crime podcast that's got a Derek Todd Lee episode coming up.
That I can talk about.
Okay.
Are we still in the shutdown, by the way? I think we're still in the shutdown, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Eddie Murphy was talking to Al Roker about it, and Al Roker asked him like, "Okay, what's your projects?" Of course, he has Shrek 5 coming out. He's got all these other things, and then he's playing Inspector Clouseau and Pink Panther, and he's asked, "Okay, well, how are you going to do that?" Because he's French. He says, "Well, this is a quote from Eddie Murphy. Well, he has to be French, but he could also be Haitian. I will tell you, he's black. He's black for sure."
Well,
as
someone who was just in France, there are a lot of African American or
So he was
black
saying that it could be
French
he could be
individuals
Haitian.
speaking French in France. That was such a bad question to ask him. Like, is he going to be like,
Right? Like,
can you fake a French accent, Eddie? We know that you
Yeah.
can fake an African accent.
Yeah.
He, in fact, can do New York Jewish accent as well.
Yep.
Check out the material. What does the guy say? What is this?
All right. So the podcast is called Unspeakable, a true crime podcast by Kelly Jennings.
That name sounds familiar.
She's in Denham Springs.
Kelly Jennings. You know, the sad thing is no one's done a lot of work on the third serial killer, the one that I represented, because he was basically killing high-risk victims.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of work. There was a lot of true crime work on Gillis and Derek Todd Lee, but not so much Guillory.
.652 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We got attorney Franz Borghardt in for Legally Served. All right, Franz, I want to pivot over to a topic that comes a lot closer to home. I know we were having some fun with the Louvre thing because it is international. It does have that Oceans vibe to it and whatnot. Coming up Monday, there's going to be a new podcast about Derek Todd Lee. It's called Unspeakable. The host's name is Kelly Jennings. And I want to pick your brain a little bit about if we could rewind the clock back to the whole timeline of how things came about. Actually, I want to start with this question from a lawyer's perspective. What can still come out in a podcast today that we didn't know about then?
Well, there was a book written about it.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you could do a podcast on the investigation.
Mhm.
You can do we like going into the mind of the serial killers.
Yes.
So more information. I mean, think about this. How much do you know about Derek Todd Lee as an individual?
So just what I remember from when this was going on.
Mm-hmm. So there could be layers of that. Like, I would want to know about like how they caught him ultimately.
Yeah.
And look, if you weren't in it,
You mean back
then,
when we were all looking for the white truck?
yeah, if you weren't there and in it, you're not sitting up late at night thinking about Derek Todd Lee.
Right.
In fact, well, so
Everybody was thinking about Derek Todd Lee, though.
So here's the kicker: at that time we had 3 active serial killers in Baton Rouge,
And this
at
is-
least 3, and then 2 of the 3 said in their separate. Well, one of them made a comment about there being other quote hunters out there. So we had at least 3, maybe 4 serial killers in Baton Rouge at once. Now
Okay.
they were killing different people, different victims.
Well, and you represented one of them.
I, as a public defender in the East Baton Rouge Parish Public Defender's Office, I represented Guillory, the third of the 3 to be prosecuted, the one that got the least ironic, the one that got the least amount of press. but he was also, to be fair, he was killing high-risk victims. Not that those victims aren't valuable as human beings, but it wasn't like white sorority girl, you know. And I'm not making this a racist thing. I'm just saying that these people were the victims he was killing. Some of them were living on the street.
Right.
So.
Right. And no, I understand it. You don't have to have any kind of disclaimer about it. I understand that. I guess what I'm asking, though, is like when a trial like this goes on, when a story like this goes on, does anything get kind of buried in the evidence that doesn't get released until a later time?
Sure it does.
That's where I want to go with this.
Sure. I mean, I would imagine there's stuff that never got into the courtroom. Now, remember, they prosecuted him for death penalty. He was convicted, and he received the death penalty, and he died of natural causes.
Right.
So I think that so one of the things you could unpack is the trial.
Okay.
And things that happened at the trial. I think one of the things you can unpack is the story of some of the victims.
Mm-hmm.
But to be sure, I imagine that there was evidence. There were probably ways of getting to him that may never have been admissible. And again, I don't know. I'm going to watch.
No, you can't know about Derek Tidley, but I'm asking you to compare it to your experience.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there.
There's stuff, guys. So here it is. There's stuff that gets deemed inadmissible about one of these cases that doesn't make it to the jury that I would want to know about.
Right.
Like, it's that human need of, well, you know, was he hiding in plain sight, or were there signs and indicators? Did we just miss it? You know, was this like the Louvre burglary? Or was there other layers to it? You know what I mean? Like, was it? Now, by the way, I had the occasion of being in a courtroom next to Derek Tidley. Like, I was in Judge Anderson's courtroom.
Gross.
Dude's big.
Really?
He's a big boy.
Really?
Like, and I was a big boy back then.
I didn't even know that.
I was a bigger boy back then.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's big. Like, very big guy. Very big guy. But I, you know, I think where the interesting piece for me is, and I asked you this before we went on, is I don't know if this is like one episode or is this an entire podcast devoted to Derek Tidley.
So it's a podcast devoted to true crime. It's called Unspeakable, a true crime podcast by Kelly Jennings. I believe this is one episode of yeah. So I look.
Well, think about the people you could interview. You could interview Tony Clayton, Dana Cummings.
Yeah.
Who was the prosecutor that I think it was either Clayton or Cummings or Prim Burns.
Prim Burns, yeah.
Yeah, who did and remember, so Gillis, the second one, didn't get the death penalty.
Right.
He's in Angola doing life. Guillory, the one I represented, got life. He got 50 years in Lafayette for an attempted rape, murder. And then he got convicted here for second degree. So he's life.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it weird, though, that Derek Tidley died of natural causes while on death row?
Is it?
I mean
that
kind of
these things happen over death penalty cases don't happen quickly. Or the execution
he had been on death row for quite some time.
I understand, but like that's it's I would imagine that happens more often than you would think.
Well, the complexity. So the other piece is the complexity of a serial killer murder trial, and the appealable issues are much more vaster. Look, I'm a lawyer, more vast than say a self-defense murder.
Right.
You know. So, man, I'll listen to it. I'll check it out.
Well, I'm trying to track down the host to get her on before it comes on.
You'd think she'd want. I mean, you're Mr. True Crime.
No, she does. There's TikTok messages going back and forth right
TikTok.
now.
Is that how the kids?
That's how I found out about it. Like literally last night on TikTok. That's why I wanted to bring it up this
Are
morning.
you and I too old to be on TikTok?
No.
I feel like I'm too old to be on TikTok.
No.
You're spry.
You don't know TikTok.
I'm trying not to know TikTok.
It's a great place. It's a wonderful place. Okay. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's not.
I'm not judging you.
No, it's not. It's not Snapchat. All right, Snapchat. We have no business being on there. TikTok, yes, absolutely.
Hey, look, it's almost 7:00.
He's attorney Franz Borghardt, hops on with us, dude. I appreciate it. I know the turnaround time from getting back was with the layover in Philadelphia and all that other good stuff. I appreciate you hopping on board today. We got ABC News coming your way. Hour 2's coming up next. Going to talk with Derek Babcock. Heads up to the Louisiana GOP. Why does Loyola not want a turning point chapter? We'll have that conversation coming up next hour. Morning, Christy. Welcome in. Actually, Christy's probably on her way to school by now. 7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane. Rolling right along, hour two coming your way right now. Brian here with you, JP producing. We are broadcasting live from the 180 Pros studio here in downtown Baton Rouge. 180 Pros, is it time for your IT to hit a 180? Visit 180pros.com. Starting off your second hour at 56 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Derek Babcock heads up the Louisiana GOP. The folks at Loyola University have said they don't want a Turning Point chapter on campus. Why? And what is the response? We're going to talk with Derek coming up in our next segment. Also, how do you keep SNAP funding afloat while the government is shut down? State Representative Jack McFarland is kind of spearheading the effort to do this on the state level. We'll talk with him before the hour is up as well. But before we get to anything else, we do top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Employees that work in the SNAP program were given an official notice that they might be furloughed if the federal government shutdown continues. WWNO was the first to report this. A letter published by the radio station says employees may be furloughed and not receive pay from November 3rd through December 2nd if there's no resolution to the shutdown.
Number 4.
Crews broke ground on the Groom Road Corridor Improvement Project in Baker yesterday morning. Officials said the project will create dedicated turn lanes and 8-foot wide shared use paths along the road, as well as several drainage improvements.
Number 3.
Yesterday, the Livingston Parish government hosted its first open house meeting for residents to give input on their drainage master plan and voice their concerns. Residents in Denham Springs specifically, well, Livingston Parish overall, I should say, took the brunt of those 2016 floods. They said they're looking for more than just talk from elected officials this time around.
Number 2.
Rhesus monkeys from the Tulane University escaped from a truck following a crash on I-59, according to the Jasper County Sheriff's Office. Deputies said the wreck happened near mile marker 117. Officials said all but one of the escaped monkeys had been destroyed. However, deputies later said that following a count from Tulane officials, 3 monkeys remain unaccounted for.
Number 1.
Hurricane Melissa turning its sights on Cuba today. Yesterday was Jamaica and was unbelievably destructive. 185-mile-per-hour winds yesterday. That has scaled back a good bit. As of the 7 o'clock numbers, those maximum sustained winds are now down to 105 miles per hour. Cuba's pretty much in the rear view at this point. It was making its way across landfall in the overnight hours. Melissa is expected to go out to the Atlantic Ocean and just kind of hook around and not really. It's going to stay out over water from here on in.
Well, at least 7 Palestinians were killed as the Israeli army launched a barrage of attacks in Gaza on Tuesday as tensions with Hamas grew 2 weeks into a fragile ceasefire.
So this is why we said from the beginning of the ceasefire.
Yep.
Is it going to stick? I appreciate the work and effort that Donald Trump put into this, and it's not over with yet. It just doesn't look good right now.
That's right.
But just something that's been around as long as they've been battling it's not going to go away overnight.
No, it won't. It's going to take time, and so I mean, like you said, kudos for the
But every time there's a violation of the ceasefire, doesn't it make it that much harder to formally close the door?
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, today trade deals with South Korea continue, and then tomorrow, Xi Jinping. That is roughly the schedule for the president as his Asian tour continues.
Yeah. Got a big deal done with Japan. Doesn't
Yes.
look like South Korea is going to be as easy. But you know what? South Korea is not going to matter if he gets something done with China.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I would think.
I would think so too.
On that level, you know what I mean?
At that point, if you're South Korea, you'd want to get on board.
Yeah.
So you're not left behind. You know?
Do you think maybe they see China get on board and then South Korea says, okay,
Yeah.
well, maybe we'll
Yeah. It's all going to hinge on what happens with China
be
for sure.
contingent on them for sure. Keeping it with the president, Speaker Mike Johnson says he does not see a path for President Trump to seek a third term, claiming Trump enjoys trolling the Democrats.
Why not? You get them every time.
I mean,
it's something I haven't understood from the beginning. There is the want to chase something shiny as it rolls into the street, you know? And I don't know. it's something that a lot of folks just find unbelievably hilarious, and
Yeah.
I am a lot of folks.
I don't think you're alone in that. No,
No.
I think it's hilarious
No.
looking at it from this
Yeah.
point of view.
It's he can't run for a third term. No, of course he can't run for a third term. Of course not. He's messing with you.
That's right.
That's jeez. 710 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Before we get to our next break, do need to remind you about the folks over at Breck. Breck.org is where they're located online. Where are they in real life? Pretty much everywhere. Breck has a lot of parks. Breck has a lot of facilities out there. And if you visit Breck.org, you can get to know those parks a little bit and learn more about what they've got going on. I am a huge fan of the Highland Road Park. I'm also a pretty big fan of the Independence Park. Those are the two that I'm at the most. But those aren't the only facilities. Whatever you're into, they've got something for you. If you are into pickleball, they've got tons of pickleball. If you, of course, all summer long, Liberty Lagoon's rolling along. You get the Bluebonnet Swamp. You've got the Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo. They've got equestrian centers. They've got, you name it. They got the skate park. You name it. They've got you covered. Started off at Breck.org, B-R-E-C, Breck.org. All right, quick break. When we come back, let's talk about Turning Point not being allowed on Loyola's campus. That's next. Hey, want to do something before we get to them there. Let's go with cuts 11 and 12 here because we're running 2 minutes early. Story that was going to do at 6:50. Oh. 713 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. State GOP wants to hear from Loyola University about why they're not accepting a Turning Point chapter on their campus. We're going to talk with Derek Babcock in just a minute. Before that, though, boy, if you've already stepped outside, you don't need to hear this from me. But if you've not yet stepped outside, it feels like fall. Absolutely. The temperatures are perfect today. Our news partners over at Louisiana Radio Network caught up with LSU health climatologist Barry Keim. Says that today, tomorrow, we're in for the coldest temperatures so far this season.
This morning, we're looking at temperatures across the state. Northern parishes, we're looking at upper 40s. Southern parishes, we're in the low 50s. High temperatures later today are only going to be in the low 60s, pretty much statewide.
And I would be on the lookout for that stiff breeze coming through in the early afternoon hours. That's going to be one of the more fun parts is we're looking at, I shouldn't say in the early afternoon hours. It's this morning, we've got a 10-mile-per-hour breeze rolling through, right? That's going to ramp up as the day wears on to about a 20-mile-per-hour wind in the early afternoon hours. It'll scale back as we get closer to the evening and the nighttime hours. but it's going to be like this all day long, y'all. Sun will be out. It'll be bright and shiny, but we're not going to see 70 today. 65, 64, 65 degrees is what we're looking at, and it's looking like with the wind advisory that's going to be out there, it's going to keep us this way for a little while. Now, if you're looking ahead, which parents need to be looking ahead, Friday we're going to top out at 69, but there is no rain in the forecast for Halloween, so trick-or-treating should be just fine. By the way, Kime says, Barry Kime commented on that all the way through Halloween night, talking about as you get the kid all dressed up in their costumes, you're not going to need a poncho.
Virtually no chance of rain, probably looking at temperatures in the low 60s and falling. So definitely have those kids prepared for the trick-or-treating, keep them warm.
Yep, absolutely. So already looking forward to that. Even on a Wednesday, we'll be out there Friday night. All right, so what's the deal over at Lafayette? I'm sorry, at Loyola, excuse me. What's the deal over at Loyola? Why do they not want a Turning Point chapter? Joining us now to talk about this, Derek Babcock heads up the Louisiana Republican Party. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Doing well, thank you.
No, glad to have you on. Yeah, I appreciate you hopping on this morning. So y'all have sent a letter out to the folks over at Loyola. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so, we're pretty disappointed in them. It's puzzling, honestly, because, this is a Jesuit university that was founded on the ideals of St. Ignatius, which are, finding God in all things, service, justice, discernment, hope. In fact, Loyola's own mission statement emphasizes, forming men and women for others through critical thinking, discernment, and pursuit of truth. And that's exactly what Turning Point is about. That's what Charlie Kirk was about, was, the debate, discussion about different ideals, about truth. And so for them to deny these students from forming a chapter is just, I feel like it goes against the values of Loyola University. And so, we're going to support these students to help get this chapter formed over there. And again, it's extremely disappointing because, there's a lot of other groups over there, like the Federalist Society that, is a lot like Turning Point already. There's other religious groups like the Chapel of the Holy Spirit and Chi Alpha, which are great groups. And I'm glad that they have these groups, but, for them to deny these students from forming a Turning Point chapter is extremely disappointing. And so this is something that, we're not just going to let it go. So,
Understood.
And I appreciate, yeah.
Have they responded to? I mean, y'all have sent the letter already, right? Or is that going out today? Okay.
Yeah.
They haven't had a chance to respond yet, have they?
No, we haven't heard anything yet. We just did it yesterday evening, actually.
Walk me through what brought us around to Turning Point, being denied as an organization on their campus. This isn't something that Turning Point sought, right? This was student-led.
This was student-led. And, why they would deny it, I really have no idea. I mean, again, like I said, I think it goes contrary to the stated values of Loyola University. I could speculate as to why, but again, that's just speculation. But it's ironic. We've got our own governor just spoke at a Turning Point event at LSU,
right? And
he's currently pushing to have a monument of Charlie Kirk put up at LSU. And then here, we've got another Louisiana university that's now denying the formation of a Turning Point chapter. And so, again, it's disappointing. I think it's contrary to the stated values of Loyola University.
Well, and end of the day, I mean, to be fair across the board, Loyola not a public school, so I mean, that's. And as I was reading up on this, Derek, it looks like the Student Government Association was the one that ultimately turned them down. I don't know. Like, I don't know if Loyola has a history of the administration stepping in and and vetoing what the SGA does.
Yeah, and I don't know. We're certainly going to help. We're asking the Student Government Association to reconsider. Mm-hmm. We're going to reach out to these students. I mean, certainly there's an appeal process. They can they have an SGA appeals court anyway. And so I think go through that process, but certainly, if they are unable to form their chapter, we are going to reach out to, the university, the leadership at Loyola University anyway, and try to have them step in. And again, this is new. We're kind of just starting to dig into this. certainly we're going to do everything we can to find out what avenues can be taken to help form this chapter. I mean, this is a major group, Turning Point USA. I mean, they have over 3,500 chapters in colleges, universities, and high schools across the country.
Right.
I think there's over 30,000, new requests since the murder of Charlie Kirk. And so it's not like it's just some, kind of unknown group or new group that some students are trying to form. I mean, this is a national, well-known, very influential group, and again, I mean, the goal of Turning Point USA is to encourage debate and different ideas and talk about truth and dig into, what you believe and why you believe it. Equip yourself to defend it. And I mean, why wouldn't Loyola University want to embrace a group like that? It's just puzzling to us.
When right after Charlie Kirk's murder, when there was that memorial service held at LSU, I attended that, and I was interviewing students as they were leaving it, and just asking them. And we posted up some content on social media, but just one question interview is, what did Charlie Kirk mean to you? And Derek, I got to tell you, the overwhelming majority of people's response was basically they didn't have to feel alone in their conservatism or in their Christianity. And I think those two things specifically, I should say the second part specifically should be of importance to the folks at Loyola, because it is a Catholic school. So, if you've got someone who, throughout their ministry, throughout their mission, helped bring people, into the forefront with their faith, you would think that would be encouraged.
You would think so. Yeah.
Drop the politics, forget the politics, right? Forget the politics and just focus on the faith end and the strength that came from not being alone. That in itself feels like it's enough for me.
100%. And look, Loyola has groups there that, they don't align with Catholic values. And you know what? That's fine. I understand. I appreciate that they allow different ideas to be debated but I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, Catholic doctrine doesn't support gay marriage, doesn't support transgender, doesn't support abortion, and yet there are groups there that that's what they're about. And so, look, I'm not saying they shouldn't be there, but if you're going to allow different ideas, you should certainly allow a group that shares your ideas. And it may be some different ideas in these students who made this decision to deny them, but the university as a whole, they're, again, founded on the values of St. Ignatius, should, in my opinion, embrace a group that, values those same values and certainly allow the debate and discussion about truth. So, again, it's extremely puzzling that they would have denied them. Again, I have my opinions on why that was done. But again, that's my opinion, and we're going to go through the process and talk about facts.
I'm curious if there's anything else that plays into this. Forget politics. Forget let's leave the politics part of this. I wonder if there's the fact that it's such a hot button group right now. Is where you have Turning Point, you were going to have protesters. If I'm not mistaken, the SGA meeting on October 15th had protesters at the meeting. I'm wondering if part of this isn't just letting everything die down a little bit before stirring it back up again.
Well, and that could be, but in my opinion, I mean, that's the wrong way to handle it. I mean, there's certainly strong ideas on both sides, but, even people that didn't agree with Charlie Kirk, when he was murdered, the way he was murdered at Utah University, I mean, even those people who didn't agree with him were against what happened to him, and in some way kind of supported Turning Point and Charlie Kirk and what he was about, which was just the open debate and discussion about different ideas. Even when they didn't agree with him, they certainly didn't support what happened. And so you would think that in light of what's happened here, that they would be more open to embracing another group like this. But certainly they made a different decision. So it's disappointing, but it's something we're gonna stay engaged in, and I think this is we're gonna see it through anyway. So
got a couple more questions for Derek Babcock. He heads up state GOP chairman. All right. How big is the groundswell on Loyola's campus? Do we know how many potential members were looking for this charter?
We don't. We just found out. Corey and I, my executive director, we were with the governor yesterday in North Louisiana, and had a couple things we were attending, and so this just kind of came to us as we were in the middle of doing those things, and so we jumped up real quick and joined Adrian Bruno and Rachel Collado over there, and got this letter put together pretty quickly to let them know that we were aware and that we would like for them to reconsider this. So today, I mean, obviously we're going to be trying to reach out to these students over there and find out how many. I know it takes a minimum of 5 to request forming a chapter, but I don't know exactly how many were involved in this. So that, we'll be finding those things out today.
Okay. And have you been given any kind of timeline on the appeals process and what kind of access y'all are going to have? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the state GOP is an outside, y'all are the outsiders here, having to lean on the students on the inside in order to get greater access to the SGA. So, do we know how much access y'all are going to get and/or a timeline?
We don't know yet. I don't know. And again, of course, as far as timeline, we're going to look through the bylaws on this quarter review and see. But as far as access, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. Certainly, they can't deny us from helping these students form the arguments and put together some facts to go in and make this appeal in the best way possible. So we'll be doing that. If we're able to be there to help, give some sort of testimony or appeal to this, then we'll do that. But again, we don't know exactly what our access is going to be, but we are going to be involved in the process.
One more, and this kind of takes us back up to the beginning of it, though, is the SGA. I've read 3 different articles on this, Derek, and I don't see where they've given their reason for saying no.
And again, I haven't seen anything either.
Yeah.
I could speculate on my reasons why, but it's speculation doesn't help really. So,
no.
It would seem like they should have some sort of written justification for why they've done what they've done. But again, that's something we'll be digging into today. This was it kind of, again, new. I know this happened actually maybe a week and a half ago or so.
October 15th, yes.
October 15th, yeah. So, but it just came to our attention yesterday. And so, we, as soon as we found out, we called a couple other, the RPEC leader down there and Rachel down there and said, look, let's get together. And of course they were aware and they said, absolutely. So, so we sent this letter out right away just to let the Student Government Association know that we knew what had happened and that we were requesting them to appeal and make a different decision anyway. So, but again, like I said, we'll be digging into it. We'll get a lot more information today, and we'll be going from there. So, yeah.
Keep us looped in on the follow-up if you don't mind. Hey,
yeah.
While I've got you, did you get to go to the Turning Point event at the River Center the other night?
I did not. No, I was out of town, and so I did not get to make that one. So
I heard attendance was pretty strong.
Yeah. So, and that's all over the country. I mean, these, of course, Turning Point events were well attended even prior to Charlie Kirk being assassinated, but certainly now, I mean, they've motivated a lot of young people to be more involved, and so it's encouraging to me. I mean, it's devastating what happened to Charlie Kirk. He was a great man, I think, doing great work. But I am encouraged when I look and I see all the students and young people who are wearing the shirts and say, "I am Charlie Kirk," and I just, I think they have, encouraged millions of mini Charlie Kirks all over this country. So, I think the future looks bright. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the SGA can get invited along to like maybe go on a field trip to a different university. And get a one-on-one, get that firsthand experience of what Turning Point actually is, because I think the headlines are scarier than the reality. And when you meet the people, you understand that they are people, just like anybody else, and they're looking for, just trying to find their path in life as they go through college. So, hopefully cooler heads will prevail. Trying to
really, I just drill down into what they believe and why they believe it. And, Turning Point and Charlie Kirk was about respectful debate of different ideas, certainly truth, and but everything in love. And even people he didn't agree with, he still loved them, and he communicated that love to them. And so,
Nope.
yeah, I think they should.
100%.
I appreciate you, Brian.
No, always. He's Derek Babcock. Yeah, hit me up with the follow-up on this, because I am curious as to where this goes and how much they're willing to listen. So we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. It is coming up on 7:31 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. I tell you what, let's break for news, traffic, weather. When we come back, State Representative Jack McFarland going to hop on the hotline, talk about keeping SNAP benefits available through the federal government shutdown. Our 8:20 interview isn't going to be here on time. What's over to reschedule? I don't have anything as backup for that segment. 737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, we are on day 29 of the federal government shutdown. Coming up on Saturday will be November 1st. What happens to SNAP benefits come Monday once we've rolled into a new month? Joining us now to talk about that, State Representative Jack McFarland, as I understand it, is taking the lead on making sure we are sustainable. Representative McFarland, welcome back. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Brian. Thank you for having me.
No, always appreciate having you on. This is kind of a big one because we do have just close to 800,000 Louisianans receive some level of SNAP benefits.
That's right, Brian. And the thing that we don't want to miss is that this is your most vulnerable of the population. We still have all the changes that's been made the last few months over the last 6 months that are identifying those that don't necessarily need to be on the SNAPs, the work requirements, all those things that we've done to reform SNAP benefits, all those things are still actively being pursued. So when we start talking about the vulnerable population, look, you think about the elderly. They have no other means of for their resources for food. Yeah, we do have food banks, but those are limited in how much food they can give out and how many people they can give that food to. Right. And then you have the disabled. Those two populations alone make up about 200,000 people of the 800,000 that are on SNAPs, and then the rest are children. So it's unfortunate we find ourselves in this position where we're having to make these decisions, but I'm grateful that we are still a state that recognizes and has compassion for those that are the most vulnerable in our population. And, I can't control what's happening in D.C., but the things we can do is we can control what happens in Louisiana.
So let's talk about that. How are we controlling what happens in Louisiana? What are we doing to keep it afloat?
Look, Brian, so the last 2 years, we've been very prudent with our dollars. We've been able to reduce income taxes. We've talked about that. But even in our budgeting process, we have held our growth of government down to less than 1% one year and even a standstill the next, which has put us in a position where we are financially able to do this right now for that vulnerable population. But it's the timing that's challenging. We kind of compared it to having a hurricane. Those things happen, but then it's how you react to them. We have to get those resources out. We know that by going to LDH and asking them to find it within their budget, because now they are in control of SNAPs, no longer is DCFS. And, we have given them budget authority for the entire year already in our 25-26 appropriations. Mm-hmm. So the dollars that they can put together, we can get to the vendor who then puts the money on the cards for those individuals. Now, as I appreciate it, and look, Brian, this is still a moving target. We're still working on this. Spoke with the governor's office and administration yesterday, LDH again. We're meeting again today. The governor is having a press conference today, I think at 2:00
mm-hmm.
to discuss this further. And, the timing is everything, because we've discussed the Revenue Stabilization Fund. We have more money in there now than we've ever had. And to utilize those dollars, we were fortunate. We included language in the funds bill this past fiscal session that would enable us to touch those dollars with a 2/3 vote of the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
And we made those dollars available just for times like this, should there be an emergency. And look, I do think this is an emergency because, once again, I cannot control what goes on in D.C. I think it's irresponsible for anyone to use SNAP benefits as leverage in a negotiation process. But right now, Louisiana is in a position, And I know that LDH, the governor's administration, look, Senate President Cameron Henry, Speaker DeVilliers, the House Speaker, have been both very upfront. I give them the credit for this and more than myself, because they are leading this effort as well to make sure this vulnerable population is able to receive their benefits for the month of November.
Talk with State Representative Jack McFarland about keeping SNAP afloat during the federal government shutdown. Got to ask you some procedural questions here, Representative McFarland, because you said we can access the revenue stabilization fund with a 2/3 vote. How do we get to the point where we have a vote on that? I mean, it's kind of convenient. Y'all are already over at the Capitol this week for a special session. Is that something to just be folded in?
Well, so the timing is the problem, because we have to have these benefits on the cards before the 1st. We have to have that money to the vendor. As you're aware, the 1st is Saturday. So that's what makes that challenging. You can do it there's two ways that we have discussed that you could tap into the revenue stabilization. You can do an IEB ballot, it's an interim emergency ballot.
Okay.
That does take about 20 to 25 days because there's 15 days of voting. Or there is a way that we're discussing that you could do a BA7 in joint budget. And because of the way we wrote the funds bill in the fiscal session, allowing for emergencies. So we do have some options. The problem, Brian, is we have to have those dollars quicker.
Right.
And although we are in session, it's just not as simple as that. So the quickest way is to focus with LDH right now. And like I said, Brian, this is a moving target. Things could change today should we have the opportunity, working with our staff and all the attorneys, to make sure we do this correctly.
The governor's spoken out about the possibility of, and I don't know if this covers everybody or not, but somewhere to the tune of like 500,000 of the recipients. Do we know what the divider is right there that would leave the other 200 and change out?
But Brian, it is my appreciation that we're not going to leave anyone out.
Awesome. Okay, better.
That has been our goal. Mine. I'm speaking on behalf of the Speaker DeVilliers as well, and President Henry. Our goal has been to backfill everyone that's receiving SNAP. Like I said, this does not eliminate or remove any of the restrictions and requirements that we have placed on those individuals over the last few months to reform the rules for SNAP benefits. But our goal is to fund every single person that is, especially the children and those elderly and disabled, that is currently receiving SNAP benefits.
You mentioned the timeline right there, and time being of the essence and whatnot. If the money's not there on Monday, I mean, it's it doesn't deter your efforts, does it?
No, absolutely not. Look, could there be some delays?
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a possibility. We're doing everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But being a realist and how difficult it is, and there's so many moving parts because we've never had to do this before. Right. And once again, we have to work with a vendor that's on the federal level that actually disperses these funds. So there's challenges associated with this, but we're making every effort to get this done. Look, and it's also my understanding from the LDH that historically the elderly and the disabled receive their benefits first at the 1st of the month, and then everyone else is just kind of sporadically receiving benefits throughout the month. So our target for sure first is to identify the elderly and disabled, make sure those funds are available for them for the 1st of the month. Mm-hmm. And then those individuals beyond that, which are, I think it's 393,000 head households, but included in that makes up about 600,000 children. Those, like I said, historically have been previously given out throughout the month. So I think we have some time, but we want to make sure we're ready to go by November the 1st so that those elderly and disabled actually get theirs first, and then we can work through that if something should come up. But look, our goal is still to fund it all.
I apologize if you've already answered this, but do we have a number on what it takes to fund it all for a full month?
It is costing us around 150 million.
Okay.
Kind of fluctuates between 146 and 156 million. So, we're just using that average number of 150 million. Look, Brian, we got programs that also are associated with SNAPs that we're not talking about a lot. But like one program that it's going to cost us $2.5 million over the next 2 months is individuals who are trying to get off SNAPs. They're working with the workforce development in Louisiana. We have them employed. We're getting them to work and getting them off of SNAP benefits. Look, with the federal shutdown, that program ends. So all the work we're doing to get people off of SNAP, that could all go away with just that quickly. And I think that's discouraging. So, look, in conversations with the Secretary of Workforce Development, Susie, as well as others in the administration, we want to make sure we fund that as well, because we want to continue our efforts that we've made to get people off of SNAP benefits.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, that's more than half the game right there. Representative McFarland is not just keeping people fed, but making sure they're not government dependent the next time this rolls around.
Yeah, and see, that's why I say, Brian, this is so misleading. There's so many parts of this that people aren't talking about. We're just focusing on the groups that are not going to be receiving, but we need to be also talking about those reform measures.
Yeah.
We also need to be talking about those individuals that we have actively worked with. And look, many of these are people that are voluntarily coming to us now because of those reform measures and saying, hey, I want to get off of SNAPs.
Right.
Help me go to work. Help me get to work. And we are doing that. But the federal government is even involved in this with the shutdown, those dollars have been eliminated. So, look, we have to make every effort to backfill that as well, or else all this is for nothing.
Got just a minute and a half left with State Representative Jack McFarland. I hesitate to ask the last question, but what's the likelihood that should we pony up all the state dollars for this, get this thing, 100% funded through the month of November on all fronts? What's the likelihood that once the federal government reopens, we'd be able to, hand in our receipts like it's an expense report, or am I greedy for asking?
No, look. So, Brian, this has happened before, not with SNAPs, but look, just last year we had the terrorist attack in New Orleans. We had to ask two agencies, Department of Public Safety and also Homeland Security. We used dollars within their existing budget to address that emergency. Then we turned around and had to work with the federal government to get reimbursed. So this is no different. Look, they could always say no, just like they could have to the terrorist attack.
Right.
But just like they could with a hurricane, Brian, it is no different than any other emergency situation that we felt like we've been in. So I'm encouraged. I will continue to reach out, and I know that everyone else will, to our congressional delegation to backfill or reimburse us those dollars that we're expending on the SNAP benefits. I don't think it's too much of an ask. I mean, we didn't put ourselves in this position. They put us in this position because of the inability to fund the SNAP recipients.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, we're positioning ourselves to lessen our need on that front. In the meanwhile, we're just straight up out of time. He is State Representative Jack McFarland. We'll be following up to make sure, everything gets covered. Thank you so much for hopping on board today.
Thank you, Brian.
Always. Here's your money now. I'll be back. did? It's a month ago. You think anybody would notice if we did it again? Do me a favor. See if there's any date-specific things in there. We'll in that. No, if there's anything date-specific in that interview, like peruse it real quick and see if we talk about. Top of the hour. Oh, no, we're going to do this over the phone. Feel like I jumped the news cycle, man. This whole hour. We talk with Derek Babcock before they go down to Loyola. We talk with Jack McFarland before they can round everything up for SNAP benefits. I feel like we jumped the news cycle. Oh, man. Good stuff, though. It's 7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hey, coming up next hour, we are going to speak with Jourdan Generes. He is with NeuroJust, a great partner on the show. I love telling you about NeuroJust every day, but I love when we get Jourdan on the show to really get inside of what they do, because there's only so much I can tell you in 60 seconds, and plus, he's the expert. So looking forward to that conversation next hour. Also next hour, Congresswoman Julia Letlow hopping on the hotline. Why? Well, because we do DC Current every other week with her, but on top of that, the government shutdown is now on day 29, so we're going to have a lot to talk about there as well. Hey, before we get you back into our next news story, which actually goes back to the special session, do need to remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is their website, LandmarkBankLA.com. Landmark Bank was founded in 1897 as a community bank, and in 2025, they remain true to that mission. And having a banker is it's so unbelievably important as opposed to just having a bank. When you have one of the national or multinational names touted on your bank, your money, it's a drop in the bucket to them, if that. When you have a community bank and you have a community banker, what you have is a partner with your dollars for where you want to go in the future. Talking about whether or not we're talking about borrowing, whether or not we're talking about saving, whether or not we're talking about investing, they've got you covered. Check them out online, landmarkbankla.com. Same is true on the business end. In fact, probably even more so for a small business. Learn more at landmarkbankla.com. So, you heard this in news at the bottom of the hour from our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. We could be all done with this special session as of today. This would be the House side approving the Senate's plan of legislation as proposed to push back primary election dates next year by roughly a month. Now, Democrats don't have enough votes to stop it. C. Denise Marcel, representative from right here in Baton Rouge, believes there's a push to move the dates back so that Republicans can redraw a new congressional map with only one black majority district instead of two after the Supreme Court rules the current map is unconstitutional.
It looks like we're aligning ourselves to assist by making sure that we have something in place to quickly, and I heard that used a couple of times, come in and draw maps.
Yes, absolutely. If it's deemed that the current map is unconstitutional, absolutely we will draw another map. We meaning the whole state of Louisiana. So the pushback or the postponement of the elections for primaries, the bill's written up by State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter, who was on with us last week. He was asked how the state will explain why the primary election dates were pushed back a month. Kleinpeter says that answer's simple.
I think we just explained to him that there's a case at the U.S. Supreme Court and that we're waiting on it, and all we're doing is pushing the election back 4 weeks.
Imagine that. You know, we've had Caleb Kleinpeter on the show a number of times. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. He is very candid when he comes on. He's very transparent when he comes on. When we had him on about this particular topic, I mean, the answers were so simple that like they almost felt like one-word answers. That's how cut and dry, how straightforward, and how simple this process is and should be. We have the opportunity and we have the window to get it done. You know, whether you're a fan of closed primaries or jungle primaries, forget that because we're in the closed primary phase right now. We're in our closed primary era, right? So taking what we've got on the primary front and making sure we have constitutional maps that we are voting on within those primaries to say we're going to move this primary back by a month. Okay, we have that window. We have that luxury. We can afford to do that. Let's make sure that the map, A, makes sense, and B, doesn't base everything solely off of race. Now, CDD Marcel asked Kleinpeter if the Supreme Court ruled the congressional maps unconstitutional, could he support a new map with black majority districts?
The Supreme Court said we can't use Section 2, but let's figure out how we can send 2 black congressmen to Congress anyway. Would you be opposed to that?
We're speculating on what the Supreme Court's going to do.
Not
Yes,
speculate.
we are.
You're speculating by moving the date. You started the speculation. If you'd have left the date alone, we wouldn't be here.
No, you avoid the speculation by moving the date. You allow yourself the time to not speculate, to let them rule first. It's 8 o'clock. We got to hit news. God, coffee tastes awful. It's my cup. It's 100% my coffee cup. It's so much dookie in it. That's twice. I know. Who gives a shit? Hey, write this number down. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yep. Slept from 2 to 4.
I thought mine was bad. Like
That's well.
11:30.
I can't sleep through rain.
You can't sleep through what?
Rain.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It depends on the rain. Like if it's like a lazy summer afternoon rain,
Yeah.
I can do that. But the lightning and thunder last night
Oh my gosh.
wasn't doing it for me. Oh.
That's the dangerous thing, man. I sleep probably the hardest in that way.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's a no bueno, bro. Watched a great documentary last night. That's why I stayed up so late. It was a John Candy documentary called "I Like Me."
Oh.
Man, that was so good.
I like me.
I
My
like me.
family likes me.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Shed a little tear or two, you know.
Yeah.
It was good stuff.
Bum-ba-da-bum-bum-bum. 806 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, JP producing. Broadcasting live from the 180 Pros studio in downtown Baton Rouge. We are ready to rock and roll this hour. We're going to talk with Jourdan Generes from NeuroJust in our next segment. We are going to talk with Congresswoman Julia Letlow at 8:35. A lot of ground to cover. So let's dive right in. Top this day in history.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Hey, let's start off in 1922.
Let's do that.
Louisiana's first radio station, WWL, begins broadcasting today. It was originally operated
Big
by
870.
it was originally operated by the Loyola University New Orleans and became a popular source of news and entertainment, of course, throughout the region.
All right.
It's good stuff.
How about it?
1929, the stock market crash on Wall Street,
Dang
known
it.
as Black Tuesday, of course, triggers the Great Depression. Ugh. 1960, Cassius Clay, in his first professional fight, beats Tony Hunsaker on points in 6 rounds.
Okay.
Louisville, Kentucky. So that's good. Good stuff. This day in music history, 1969, Willie and the Poor Boys, the fourth studio album by Creedence Clearwater Revival, is released. Includes hits Down on the Corner and Fortunate Son
Okay.
as well.
Down on the Corner. Underrated Creedence song.
So good. Love the bass line in that song.
Best and worst Creedence song. Go.
Oh, man. Best and worst?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that.
Why not?
Best. Why am I drawing a blank now, bro?
I don't know.
See, get put on the spot. I don't know.
All right. Tell you what. I'll list some Creedence Clearwater Revival songs. You tell me. All right. Fortunate Son. Looking Out My Back Door. Born on the Bayou.
Born on the Bayou is so good. That hits.
Up Around the Bend.
Because I was born on a bayou.
Proud Mary.
Well,
I guess would not. But
I guess I wouldn't. Would that count as a. Well,
yeah.
Have you ever seen The Rain? I don't know, man. That's
Right.
top. That's got to be like top 5.
Okay.
I don't know. A Proud Mary. I don't know. I'd put that one. Oh, I hate to say it.
Down
I'm
on
going to
the
get myself
Corner.
in trouble.
Down on the Corner's got to be in there, man.
It's in there.
Yeah.
It's in there. So good.
Yeah. Oh, Bad Moon Rising.
Bad Moon.
It's so.
If we're putting a list of songs together,
yeah, Bad Moon Rising's got to be top. I mean, like, I'm not trying to outsmart the poll, right?
That's what
Play
I'm
the
thinking.
hits.
So if I
Play the hits.
just play the hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll get in trouble either way.
Right.
If I name a song that this one's less than that one.
Right.
But yeah. I don't know. Yeah, can't do it.
All right. What else happened?
Well, 1998, Space Shuttle Discovery blasts off on STS 95 with 77-year-old John Glenn, making him the oldest person to go into space.
Oh.
And circling right back around to music, the 2007 Walk the Line, the film about the life of singer Johnny Cash, was voted the greatest music biopic of all time in a poll.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd say that. Ray was really good.
Ray was really good.
Gosh, Ray. I know 8 Mile doesn't really count, but that was up there as far as music
8 Mile
biopics.
does not count.
But still, you know.
8 Mile counts about as much as Airheads does. There's
The
3
Lone
of you.
Rangers.
You're not exactly lone.
Oh, that's good stuff, man.
Thank you.
Birthdays?
Yeah, go for it.
Bob Ross. Start there.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder today.
By the way, Sora AI Bob Ross all over TikTok right now. Could not be better.
Between that and the Mr. Rogers, oh man, and the guests he keeps having.
Are
on his
you ready
show.
for what's next on Sora AI though?
What?
All the Disney Pixar stuff.
Oh my goodness.
And like think of the raunchiest, worst things you could possibly think of. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
The cesspool known as AI.
So good.
Oh.
So bad, but so good.
Oh,
What else we got birthday
goodness.
was other than Bob Ross?
Richard Dreyfuss today.
Okay.
And I know I had one more.
There's plenty
Peter Green.
more.
Peter Green as well, Fleetwood Mac.
Okay.
What am I missing?
Joseph Goebbels. Famous Nazi right there. How about Gabrielle Union?
Oh, Gabrielle Union.
Yeah, yeah. Winona Ryder would fall into that category of birthdays today as well.
I named her.
You did?
That was right before you. Yeah.
Okay, missed that one.
Yep.
And well, those two died today. Let's see. I had one more. Nope, that's it. Everybody else is a death.
All right. Yeah. Starting that death. Let's see. Who's this? Terry Garr?
Oh, wow. I did not have that.
Terry Garr. And Dwayne Allman from the Allman Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about Joseph Pulitzer and Louis B. Mayer?
Yep. Got those. As far as national days, what about National Internet Day?
National Internet Day?
Internet Day?
Is there a reason
Big.
why?
Let's see. I'm glad you asked. Let's see. National Internet Day is October 20. Looking back at AOL's quaint "You've Got Mail" ads circa 1997. If you could imagine what the internet would mean all these years later. We love this new thing called email, but could we imagine booking entire overseas vacations on our phones at 3 a.m. or something called Instagram? So,
Why
I
not?
guess it's just
All right.
Appreciation Day
Yeah.
for the internet.
National Internet Day.
You know,
I guess
what would
can
we
take
do
it.
without TikTok, Brian?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd get a lot more sleep, I'll tell you that. It doesn't end. Hey, I got a question for you.
Yes.
What did parents do before like social media? Like what did parents
parents do?
Yeah.
They hung
So
out with their
nobody
kids.
tells you when you're about to have kids
Yeah.
how much time you're going to spend sitting in a car waiting for them to be done.
Oh man.
Right? Like
was it
let's say
newspaper and magazines, right?
right, I guess maybe. I don't know. I
Maybe.
just like so, the daughter asked to go to the Mercy football game last night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we live about 15 minutes away from Mercy. So I go ahead and go on over there and park in the parking lot, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there while the game's going on. I didn't want to go in because, I don't know. I was already ready for bed.
Yeah.
Didn't get to bed, but I was already ready for bed. So go over there, just sitting in the parking lot. And I'm like, halftime rolls around. And then the third quarter, I'm just sitting there scrolling through TikToks the entire
you're just
time.
there, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what did my parents do when they drop me off somewhere and it's a 20-minute drive there, 20-minute drive back, the kid's only there for an hour. So you just sit in the car for an hour.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I mean. Was that
To be honest, I always keep a pen and a notebook in my car at all times.
so you can write lyrics 8 Mile?
Right. All the time. Really. I'm constantly writing, constantly thinking of things. And truly, I convinced myself, I'll put the phone away if I'm sitting somewhere longer than
Right.
5 minutes.
Right.
I never do.
No.
Never do.
No. Because they don't end. The videos don't end.
They don't.
I know.
Ugh.
8:15 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Of course, This Day in History brought to you every day by the folks over at 5 Star Printing and Signs. Danny and his team ready to hook you up, ready to help you out, ready to collaborate with you to make sure that all your printed materials are grabbing eyeballs. If your business card does not grab your attention, it's not grabbing anybody else's attention. If your brochures, if any of your printed materials aren't grabbing your own attention, it's not grabbing anyone else's attention either. you need to call Danny at 271-4096, 271-4096. Of course, that's area code 225 for 5-Star Printing and Signs. And we talk about this all the time, y'all. As I sip from my Talk 1073 coffee mug, now more than ever, branding's important. Making sure that your logo is front and center is unbelievably important because out of sight, out of mind, right? You want your logo anywhere you can get your logo. Hit up printshop5.com. Get a look at some of the merchandise they have to offer. Printshop5.com. Learn a little bit more about what they do, how they do it. Give Danny a call at 271-4096. Working with Danny, which I've done in the past, I don't just speak on his behalf on the air. I've been a customer as well. And the process is easy. The process is fast. And the process, and this is unbelievably important with printing, is accurate. 271-4096 for 5-Star Printing and Signs. Who the F is blowing me up here?
I don't know. Galen, you made me nervous. Music playing over FB loudly. It's like, what? And then I found out, no, it wasn't. No music here. Sorry, I was jamming locally. Okay, so you were jamming locally, but yeah. Yeah, Renee, it's the same way. Like a book, some pens, a notebook. I always convince myself that I'll do it. I tell you what, I recently got into audiobooks. That's really cool. Usually it's podcasts and stuff like that.
I've been on the Business Wars podcast.
Man, yeah.
I just finished McDonald's versus Burger King and just started the NFL versus the USFL, which doesn't feel like it should be a whole podcast because that was over.
Yeah, but you can milk that. You can milk that, though. You can milk a subject like that.
Yeah. There's 100-some episodes.
Yeah. Hi, this is actually JP, his producer. Hey, but yeah, looking to have you up here in just another 2 minutes or so. All right. Thank you, sir.
I poured the exact same coffee from my regular mug back into the other mug. Tasted fine. The exact same coffee.
So it is.
My I gotta clean that thing. That's just filled with dookie. $818 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Sometimes in life, change is good. We got a very upfront example of that this week, or over the weekend, I should say, as Brian Kelly was sent back in LSU football. Looking at change right here. If you are battling with depression or anxiety, and you're not getting the result you wanted, you might want to look at change as well. That would be the folks over at NeuroJust. They do things a little bit differently and get a different result. In fact, they've got the receipts to prove it. Jourdan Generes is with NeuroJust. He's on the hotline right now. How are you, man?
Good. How you doing, Brian?
Doing very well on this end as well. So let's talk a little bit about, just for those that are unfamiliar with NeuroJust, about what y'all do and why it's different.
Yeah, Brian, thanks for having me on. So, yeah, when it comes to how we're different than traditional medication management, talk therapy, different options for patients, when it comes to suffering with depression, anxiety, we just treat depression, anxiety kind of more like what I would say a physical therapist would, right? When it comes to depression, anxiety, most people don't realize the source of it is an imbalance in the activity of their brain. And most medications, talk therapy, they're not going to truly address the root cause of that imbalance. TMS does. It's kind of more of like a gentle change every treatment. We're kind of training the brain to work differently, kind of like physical therapy does over the course of multiple treatments. We just bring balance to that activity in the brain, calm the mind, stop those intrusive negative thoughts. I think we're all used to imbalance here in Baton Rouge. You used a reference of LSU football when it comes to, I don't know, like Les Miles days when you're toss dive left, toss dive right. A lot of my patients kind of feel that way. They've tried antidepressants. It kind of side effects didn't really work, kind of just worked for a little while. And, it's funny enough, we came up with NeuroJust in 2019, which was kind of a special year for us down here in South Louisiana.
Yeah.
And for many patients, they've tried, they've kind of had the new promise of the next season is going to be different. We're going to open up the offense, kind of like those Les Miles days, right?
Right.
And then the first play of every season, toss dive left, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's going to be just like last year. And that's kind of medications for patients when it comes to depression. It's like maybe Prozac's going to work. Maybe, Wellbutrin's going to work. And it's the same result. And it's just a frustrating process for a lot of our patients. I would say TMS is much like Joe Burrow, right? Nobody knows this guy's sitting third string at Ohio State, and he's going to step onto the field at LSU, and it's just going to work, right? It's just every day, every play, every drive, you feel like you're going to score, right? And that's what TMS is.
We got Jourdan Generes on with us from NeuroJust, talking about why make a change, talking about embracing that change along the way. Jourdan, when patients come to you over at NeuroJust and then they're looking to make that leap from, like let's say you mentioned the Prozac, which can cause anxiety in and of itself. I mean, as it has what it's supposed to do as a medication, but the side effects that are there, I mean, whether you're talking about agitation, nervousness, headaches that go along with it, the trade-off there just doesn't become worth it anymore. So when folks are willing to make that change, what do you hear from them as far as like their why? Like what got them to actually to flip?
It's kind of a breaking point for most people. Like it's kind of like we were talking about this past week. I think A&M was a breaking point for for people at LSU. It's just they just got to realize in their own life that they're not willing to wake up and feel the same way, right? And they're willing to look into something new, and they don't realize how much history there is with TMS, how much data. The number one antidepressant on the market is Lexapro, okay? It's been in 3,800 studies. It's been out since 2001, all right? It's got a 76% side effect rate.
What?
When it comes to TMS, it's been in 36,000 studies. It's been around since 1985, and it's got an over 80% success rate with basically no side effects. So, like I said, when it's the Joe Burrow of depression treatment, it really is.
But that side effect rate is ridiculous. I mean, especially when you talk about like trading depression for, insomnia, trading depression for nausea. I don't feel like I don't know that that's worth the trade-off, right? You're not fixing something. You're just creating something different.
Yeah. Most of the side effects are actually going to cause depression, right?
Yeah.
And most people don't realize those drugs, they increase serotonin, right? But it's temporary. It's maybe for 2 or 3 months, your body adapts. Ultimately, serotonin levels go back down to baseline. So in the end, they don't really know how those drugs work for depression.
Right.
In fact, 3 years ago, a study was published, 40-year study that showed serotonin had no effect on long-term depression. So they know it kind of works temporarily, and then you're just left with the side effects.
Well, you mentioned the physical therapy, that connection right there, or that analogy. I kind of like that analogy a lot, Jourdan, because if you think about it, like, if you've got muscular pain, you could take ibuprofen and the pain goes away for a minute, but it's not fixing what's hurt,
Right.
It's not, you're treating the symptom, not the cause at that point, where the physical therapy, would be more like TMS, which we got to remind folks, transcranial magnetic stimulation. We'll get into that in just a minute. But the TMS actually treats the cause and not the symptom.
Correct. And that's exactly why it works, and that's exactly why it really does. I mean, if you think about the medications that you take for pain, right? You know, pain drugs, muscle relaxants, like you said, ibuprofen. You know, those medications work for some of the symptoms. They address the symptoms, not the cause. And then you're just left with the side effects, and you're kind of piling medication on top of medication. So, you know, in the end, you're just left with side effects and no benefit. So, you know, that's what I try to explain to patients. We're addressing the root cause. It's going to take a little while. It actually works quicker than antidepressants. You know, it's about 2 months for TMS to be completed. Most patients feel, you know, great relief within the first, 4 to 6 weeks, but you're actually just getting the relief and not the side effects.
Talk with Jourdan Generes about NeuroJust and TMS. Okay, so for those that are unfamiliar, and I know, I do the spot every day, and I talk about TMS every day, but give us the longer definition of what transcranial magnetic stimulation does.
Yeah, so transcranial just means that we're, providing therapy through the scalp, right, which is a beam of magnetic energy, okay? So we're taking the same power as an MRI, but it's focused down to a little beam about 1.5 centimeters wide, and we're able to direct that beam into a specific part of the brain that actually combats depression, anxiety. So every pulse is kind of like you put a tinge unit on something, right, on your back, like physical therapy, right? It forces that part of the brain to exercise at the exact level we want it to, okay? Mm-hmm. And over the course of each treatment, you get about 3,000 activations of that part of the brain, and it's just training it to work like it should, really without side effects, because it's not using electrical current. It's not like shock therapy. Everybody always confuses it. People kind of wonder if it's going to affect their brain in a negative way. It doesn't. It actually improves focus and cognition. It improves sleep. It improves focus in the moment, right? Most people say they have kind of brain fog. That goes away. The only thing people describe with TMS is peace and clarity in their brain. And that's basically what we're trying to provide.
And the fact that it is, external, right? That I can't emphasize enough how important that is, because when you're given the prescription drugs, that's completely internal, and there are what's the term? Unintended consequences there. That's side effects are unintended consequences when it all comes down to it. So when you talk about things like, changes in appetite or just that general malaise that can come along with it, I mean, these things, they're not part of the equation anymore.
Yeah. So it's more of a, what's happening in the brain with that imbalance is you're getting thoughts from basically the fight or flight region of your brain when you have depression, anxiety, that are basically talking you out of everything, right? So if your alarm system is constantly going off in your brain, well, it makes everything a lot harder to do, right? All this does is quiet those thoughts by stimulating the part of the brain that controls focus, cognition, it's logic, it's rational thought. So it counterbalances those intrusive negative thoughts, and that's all it does is give you peace and clarity. So now you can enjoy the moment, you can look forward to things because it's not as taxing, it's not as overwhelming.
The NeuroJust is over on Bluebonnet. Tell folks how they can get a hold of you.
Sure, you can go to NeuroJust.com. That's the easiest way. You could call anytime where we can set you up. First step is always a consult with the clinic director. Just education. It's free consult to learn more, to understand what TMS does and how it works. And then, we work through the process of getting you approved through your insurance. It's covered by every insurance. But it's a no risk, no cost consultation on the front end. You go to NeuroJust.com and set up an appointment.
That working with insurance is a big part of this, Jourdan. I don't think that should be underscored or underplayed at all, because far too often when it comes to matters of the mind, the we don't value it where we should. And that's just my own personal opinion, but we don't value it where we should. So when we know that insurance will pick up the tab there, it makes it easier to, to take that leap.
Yeah, it's FDA approved and it's covered by just about every insurance. Even Medicaid covers this. Medicare, VA, TRICARE, all those insurances cover it. It's been FDA approved for close to 20 years. It's just that just because it's new to our listeners doesn't mean it's new to the market, right? It's been done in 36,000 studies, and it's been FDA approved for a long time, even in adolescents 15 and over. So it's safe and effective for even teenagers. So
he's Jourdan Generes from NeuroJust. Check him out at NeuroJust.com. Jourdan, hang on for me into the break. I got to talk to you off air, okay?
Sure, no problem.
Here's news. Okay. Good stuff right there. I appreciate you pivoting to the phone, man. It was way easier to do that than cancel. So, because the rest of the week is stacked up, and then once a new month gets here, months are front loaded. So, two things. We've been getting that with the phone. I apologize for that. We got to get it looked at. Two things real quick. First and foremost, Trey Landry was just listening. He said to tell you hello. So I don't, if you remember him from, he said Fiji. And then my mom was supposed to have come by. She wants to do the therapy. Okay. not there when we come in, I'll text Matt. Okay. 837 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Got to take a quick second to remind you about the folks over at 180pros. 180pros.com is the website. 180pros, not your IT provider. No, your IT partner. And they do things a little bit differently when it comes to that partnership. First and foremost, simplified billing. They're not here to nickel and dime you on every line item that you get from your IT people. Give your IT bill a look. You're going to see, it's like asking what undercoating is at a car dealership, right? I know, old Seinfeld joke. I'll move on. Simplified billing. They're your partner. They want to make sure you are up and running and stay up and running. That's the only thing that's important to them. That's why you have simplified billing. Also, same-day response time. You give them a call anytime before quitting time, and you're going to get them out there the same day. Can't guarantee resolution within the same day because we don't know the nature of your problem yet, right? But we can guarantee response time. Learn more at 180pros.com. All right, it's time for the DC Current. Welcoming back to the show, as we do, Congresswoman Julia Letlow. How are you?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. All right, day 29 of the shutdown. That's kind of where we have to start right here. Getting dangerously close to a month. Is there anything new? Is there anything different?
God, I wish I had a different story to tell you, but unfortunately it feels like Groundhog Day every day.
It does.
Democrats have now voted down a measure to fund the government 13 times. And I want to remind everybody, Brian, that House Republicans passed a resolution to continue the current funding on September 19th. So we're now nearly, just like you said, a month into this shutdown. And I've talked to a lot of people, Brian. I've been around the district. I've had some time to do that. And Louisiana families definitely don't want this shutdown. We're days away from food assistance being in peril for many across the nation. Graciously, our governor has said that he will continue those payments for a while, but that is going to run out eventually when it comes to SNAP and WIC. And my heart goes out to those people who depend on that. Food insecurity is a very real thing. And so I'm very concerned about that. But then you also talk about other things that people are struggling with. I couldn't get an area high school a Capitol tour the other day because everything was shut down. And then I don't know if you've been to the airport lately, Brian, but it is an absolute mess. Air travelers are facing delays. And like we've talked about before, new flood insurance policies are on hold. So anyway, it is officially a mess, but the onus lies squarely on the shoulders of the Democrats, especially in the Senate. I think there's about 5 centrists that we're hoping will cross over and do the right thing to go ahead and pass this continuing resolution so we can get back to the people's work. You know me, I'm a positive person, but my goodness, I don't know if I've ever been this frustrated on the job so far.
Well, yeah, and no, I have not been to an airport. Probably won't be in an airport until January, until it's time to come for Washington Mardi Gras. Will be the next time I fly. So I'm sure this will be resolved by then. But the TSA workers, I think, are probably one of the biggest chunks of like when you put a face and a name to what's going on here. When you see this up close and personal, SNAP benefits, yes, absolutely. We just talked with Jack McFarland last hour about picking up the SNAP benefits through state funding to carry it for a month. But like you said, there's not too many months you could do that. But when you think about the TSA workers that are showing up every day, a job that is A, stressful, B, just emotionally exhausting, C, you're dealing front and center with people who are, always in a hurry and always important, and like it's always like it's not the most well-received job to begin with, right? So their stress level's got to be through the roof. And when you lose the paycheck on the back end of it, yeah, you're going to get it later on. But like when you lose the paycheck on the back end of it, it's like, where's your motivation to just be kind to other humans? How dehumanizing is this going to be?
Absolutely. Yeah. My heart goes out to those TSA workers, and I encourage anybody who's headed to the airport to do your breathing exercises before you get there.
Yeah.
Because it can be a highly stressful experience. I went up to D.C., was it last week or the week before, to celebrate our LSU Tigers baseball team. And you're exactly right. That was my experience at the airport, and I can't blame them one bit. If I was required to show up on the job every day, deal with difficult people and not get paid,
right.
I can't say I would have a better attitude, but I'm praying that hopefully there's a solution to this in sight.
We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow on with us. This is DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Talk about the LSU visit just a little bit, if you could. Walk me through, because we had both LSUs up there, LSU and LSUS.
Absolutely. It was such a cool experience. Anytime that I'm invited to the White House, Brian, I just pinch myself because I wasn't invited under the prior administration, but this time it's been quite a few incredible experiences, and this one is definitely at the top. To see that room filled with so many faces that I know, but a day to celebrate our men who won the national championship, and then for LSU Shreveport to go undefeated. It was just a day of celebration, and to watch the coaches up there on the stage with the president talking about their pride in their players, and then also making the day about those guys. It was just a really special experience, one that I'll keep with me for many years to come, and I hope that those guys will remember that and be able to tell their children about it one day, because it was just really, really neat and well-deserved to celebrate those guys.
Now, the LSU baseball team did recreate the Get the Gat video that the football team did. Why was there no Julia Letlow appearance in the Get the Gat video?
I must have missed that opportunity. Darn. Yeah, I wasn't a part of that one.
Hey, we had Congressman Carter on yesterday for a similar installment of DC Current, although the takeaways were a lot different.
Sure.
He and I got into it over the, speaking of going to the White House, he and I got into it over the new ballroom. What are your takeaways?
I can't wait. I mean, my goodness, this president has done so much. I mean, negotiated peace treaties, deals, doing deal. He's in China right now. Trying to work deals. Our economy is the best we've seen. There's just, I could go on and on about how awesome it is to be in this country right now, and that's thanks to his leadership. And all they're complaining about is a ballroom renovation. I can't wrap my head around it. And I'm excited to see what the final result is. I've seen a few pictures of what it will look like, but when you go into the White House, you definitely see that there is a need for a larger ballroom, if you will, to hold a larger capacity of people. It is the people's house, and we need a place to be able to have people go and be able to be comfortable in it. So I'm excited about the ball. Who isn't excited about a upgrade renovation?
If I'm being completely honest, the only thing that worries me is I've been in the lobby of Trump Tower in New York. Look, love what he's doing for the country, but he can lean towards the gaudy sometimes. So And
Well, hopefully he'll stay on theme with the rest of the White House.
let's hope he just keeps it reserved, hands off
Right.
to an interior decorator.
Yes.
Like, let's not go all full, gold member on this one.
Fair point.
All
Fair
right.
point.
But I mean, yeah, it is the people's house, and I think we're all trapped in our place in time right here. That we're pegging everything based off of this is the Trump ballroom. This is Donald Trump doing this. Donald Trump knocking it down. Donald Trump building it. He's not taking it with him when he goes. It's not like he's going to put the new ballroom on wheels and roll out of town once he's done in the White House. And I think when we look back 20 or 30 years from now, we'll be able to fully appreciate what's going on as opposed to being trapped in the moment, trapped in the headlines, and trapped in the fight.
Absolutely. And I think I was watching a press conference. The press secretary was holding up pictures of other renovations that have happened over the history of our nation to the White House. So this isn't the first time this has happened.
No, it is on a larger scale, which is kind of his MO to begin with. It is on a larger scale, but I mean, yeah, it's what was it? FDR put in an underground pool, and then Richard Nixon ripped out the pool to put in a bowling alley. I mean, it's just we've seen these things before, all from like recreational end, all from like leisure end. This is something that's going to create dividends on a diplomatic scale.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I'm excited to see the final product and share your concern. I hope it's not fully gold plated, maybe just a few accents here and there.
No, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. Leave that on me. We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow with us for a couple more minutes. Hey, speaking of the president, and he is in South Korea today, talking with South Korea today, and I believe Xi Jinping is tomorrow, if I have my timeline right. But, hey, when we think about a trip to Asia, negotiating, economic deals, I don't often think about our Louisiana farmers on that front, but there's a lot at stake right here.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, share that the president has them at top of mind, as does the Secretary of Ag. She was actually just at the LSU A&M game, was down in Baton Rouge. She's a wonderful asset to the administration. But he's he's over in Asia trying to continue to prove that he's serious about restoring fair trade. And the goal of his tariffs and the resulting trade talks are to level the playing field for American workers and businesses. And I think if people just focus on that, it will lower some of that anxiety. But just like you said, for example, I represent my number one district in my number one industry in my district is agriculture, and our farmers certainly need more market access. We've already seen a couple of wins from the president's current trip, including new trade deals, just like you said, with Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and key progress in other talks. These agreements mean that tariffs will come down and market access for American businesses will increase. So we'll all be watching these upcoming meetings. I believe early this morning when we were waking up, he was sitting down to dinner. But we'll be watching these meetings with the Chinese leader on Thursday for clues as to where those talks are headed. I know it's caused quite a bit of angst across the country and in Louisiana, just like you said. But my goodness, he is the master of the deal, and I know that he's keeping these people in mind as he's making these agreements.
Yeah, and where we're at right now with the threat of the 100% tariff, I try to do my best just to remember it's all negotiation. That's it. It's all negotiation. So
absolutely.
In the meanwhile, I asked you last time. I'm asking you again. Have you picked up any new hobbies during the shutdown, like all your downtime? Have you learned another language yet?
I haven't learned another language. It's been great to spend some extra time with the kiddos, but really I've been traversing my district, talking to people, seeing how we can help, trying to put their minds at ease, give them a little bit of hope. You know me, I'm the candidate of hope, trying to tell them this will pass. Hang in there, and we're going to get back to work for the American people.
She is Congresswoman Julia Letlow. Always appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep. Here's your money now. I think if this is still going in 2 weeks, we're going to do line dance class. Have you learned boots on the ground yet? Brad and I have been members. mic, please? .856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hey, don't forget Talk 107.3 and DePlessis Pool Builders are giving away a dream pool. All it takes is a $25 donation that supports Dreams Come True. Dreams Come True, granting wishes for Louisiana kids with life-threatening illnesses. $100 donation gets you 5 entries. Where do you donate? Our homepage, talk1073.com. Before we get out of here, I saw a press release sent out from the state treasurer's office. This is from, I guess, last week. State Treasurer John Fleming wants us to know that he supports the carbon capture and sequestration moratorium. He says the decision is only a first step to protect Louisiana's communities, landowners, and natural resources. It's a responsible move reflecting the growing concerns voiced by citizens, parish leaders, and industry experts about the long-term safety, environmental impact, and property rights implications of carbon capture projects across the state. I'm not 100% sure why he felt the need to put this out from the treasurer's office. This is the treasurer's office saying this, and not like DEQ, not like an ag commissioner, not like an economic development person. This is the treasurer's office feeling the need to sound off on this. So, I don't have that connection as to why this is the treasurer's business, but he wanted to let you know he supports growing economic development in Texas. That's what the treasurer wants you to know, that every time we turn down a project, every time we push pause on it, it's going to go next door, as we have primacy, and they're working towards it. So we'll see how that plays out. But just there was a press release, and wanted to share that with you. I don't know the why. All right, we got to get out of here, y'all. We got Crime Stoppers coming your way tomorrow. Haggai's going to be in for a cup of tech gumbo tomorrow. We will hopefully have a button put on the special session with elections being pushed back by a month. We'll see if we can't grab a state legislator or two to talk about that. And other than that, hey, it's going to be a great, great day today. The temperature's cooler. We're in the 50s right now. We're still holding at 54 degrees. There's going to be a lot of wind, a lot of breeze throughout the day today. If you haven't already experienced it, be ready for it. It's going to be like a 20-mile-an-hour wind all day long, which is awesome. Awesome stuff. And it's getting us ready for like a nice, cool Halloween. I don't know if this is fake fall or if it's actual fall. All I know is while we have it, I'm going to appreciate it. So that does it for us. Moon Griffon is coming your way next. Of course, after Moon, you get the Brian Kilmeade Show. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. So we shall see you then. Thanks for hopping on board. Thanks for playing on Talk 107.3. All right, guys, we got to bounce. We got some things to work on in the studio, so we'll see you later.